The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The unmanned Chinese spacecraft Tianwen-1 has landed on Mars. The craft left its parked orbit early Saturday morning and proceeded its descent into Martian atmosphere. A solar-powered rover named Zhurong will now survey the landing site before departing from its platform to conduct inspections. The rover will study the planet's surface soil and atmosphere. Zhurong will also look for signs of ancient life, including any subsurface water and ice, using a ground-penetrating radar. Tianwen-1 is the first Chinese spacecraft to land on the Red Planet after leaving Earth last July 2020 and staying in the Martian orbit from February 2021 until its descent today. The second year of the coronavirus pandemic is proving to be far deadlier than the first. That's according to the World Health Organization. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus noted, so far COVID-19 has claimed over 3 million lives worldwide, and reiterated that following public health protocols and vaccinations together are the only way to survive this pandemic.
COVID-19 has already cost more than 3.3 million lives, and we're on track for the second year of this pandemic to be far more deadly than the first.
The World Health Organization also urged rich countries to donate a COVID-19 shot to the COVAX facility or scheme for distribution to poorer countries instead of inoculating children. This was suggested in light of the recent surge of coronavirus cases in India, with the country logging over 4,000 deaths for 3 straight days and an infection tally of over 24 million. Meanwhile, WHO top emergency expert Dr. Mike Ryan says in case of plans of countries to lift mask mandates for their fully vaccinated, local conditions must be considered. This after the US CDC issued a statement saying fully vaccinated people don't need to wear masks.
In the instance of a country that wishes to reduce or take away a mask mandate or take away other measures of public health and social measures, that should only be done in the context of considering both the intensity and of transmission in your area and the level of vaccination.
Former U.S. ambassador to Israel explains the tension in Gaza and why he thinks the conflict between Israel and Palestine will end soon. More of this on Bloomberg's Balance of Power.
Well, Hamas and Israel are engaged in yet another war. It's the fourth one, I think, and we've kind of seen this movie before. Hamas, in this case, took advantage of the situation in Jerusalem, which was very hot because of police engagement in the mosque in Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, holiest day of the Muslim year, and plus evictions, a whole lot of tension in Jerusalem. They took advantage of that to become what they call the Sword of Jerusalem by firing on Jerusalem, something which they've never done before. And the Israelis have responded to that, and then they're off to the races. So we've had 5 days of intensive rocket fire from Gaza and intensive Israeli bombing attacks and now ground fire into Gaza. But I do think that it's reaching its kind of high point at this stage and will soon peter out. I expect that in the next few days we'll have a ceasefire. And that I say that because both sides have limited objectives. The Israelis don't want to topple Hamas in Gaza. The Hamas just wants to show that it can fire rockets into Israel. At a certain point, neither side has anything more to achieve by continuing to fire. And that's why Egyptian and American envoys have turned up in Israel today. And I think we'll see progress. I hope we'll see progress in the near future towards a ceasefire.
So, Mr. Ambassador, as you said, this is not the first time we've seen this kind of conflict. I think it was 2014, wasn't it, where actually Israeli forces went into Gaza. One of the questions right now is, do we expect those ground forces not just to fire over the border from Israel into Gaza, but do we expect them to actually go into Gaza?
It's possible that they have some kind of operation in mind there. But in general, the Israelis are reluctant to go into Gaza because of past experience. What happens is that drives up the casualty rate on the Palestinian side quite dramatically because Hamas operates in built-up areas. It drives up Israeli military casualties. And in terms of, it's not clear what it is that Israel can achieve since it doesn't want to reoccupy Gaza. It left Gaza. And therefore, I think that Netanyahu in particular, who is generally cautious, is going to be careful, especially because it looks like Israel's going into the 5th election in the last 2 years. He's going to be wary about going into elections with a war going on. Plus, the other factor, which we haven't talked about, is that the streets of major cities in Israel are roiling at the moment between Jewish and Arab mobs that are attacking each other every night. The police have not been able to bring it under control. There's also a lot of demonstrations going on in the West Bank. So the potential for this to escalate on the ground in different areas is such that I think that Netanyahu will want to bring it to a close pretty quickly.
The voter registration in NCR Plus will resume on Monday, May 17. Commission on Elections Director Bartolome Sino Cruz Jr. said that the schedule for voters registration will start from 8 in the morning till 5 p.m. on weekdays. Sino Cruz said that the easing of quarantine restrictions allowed COMELEC to resume voter registration in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. So far, nearly 59 million voters have registered for the next year's polls, close to COMELEC's 65 million pre-pandemic target. Newly appointed PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar only has 6 months to make a change in the police force. Can he make any significant changes? Mobile journalist Stanley Gahete gives us a front seat to the story.
Itong cleanliness in the ranks, ito yung internal cleansing. We know that all the past chief PNPs have their own battle against police kalawag. At walang pinagkaiba ako, ganoon din ang plano ko. Kaya lang, I would start doon sa recruitment.
That was Lieutenant General Guillermo Eleazar, the 6th PNP chief under the Duterte administration. He wants to make a difference by cleaning up an organization whose image was tarnished by human rights abuses because of the drug war. Can he do it when he only has 6 months? But Eleazar is determined. Recruitment will happen in the coming weeks, and the PNP under Eleazar administration will use blind screening, which he first used when he was still the NCRPO chief.
We use the QR code system or quick response system. Walang pangalan, walang mukha, only their qualification would be the basis for their evaluation.
Eleazar wants the commanders to have close supervision, but the cleaning up of the ranks will not start from the bottom. It will be from the top.
Dahil ako naniniwala na magdadalawang isip buwan ng kalokohan. Ang sino mang pulis, kahit sila patrolman o general man, if they know na hindi sila ikukonsinti ng kanilang commanders, ng kanilang kasamahan at ng organisasyon.
In a country that values who you know than what you know, Eleazar wants to change the culture. In the 1980s, Marcos faced a mutiny because most generals stayed longer in their position because of patronage. The Philippines tired slowly to remove and to change the rules. But patronage or padrino system returned by the revolving door policy under President Arroyo. In November, we will find out if the Eleazar's reform did change the system.
If it will take years or decades bago yung buong kapulisan natin na 200,000 produkto ng pure communication basis, so be it. Simulan natin ngayon.
Stanley Gahete, We're One News.
The long-awaited Friends, the reunion is coming to HBO Max this month. Can we be any more excited? And to make it even more special, a star-studded guest list will join the iconic six. Dick Garcia has the details.
Could we be any more excited? The much-anticipated Friends reunion will stream on HBO Max this May 27. The unscripted one-off special was delayed by a year due to the pandemic. In a teaser video, the iconic six cast members are walking arm in arm, set to a down-tempo instrumental version of the Rembrandt's I'll Be There For You, the sitcom's theme song. Special guests will also make cameo appearances, including Nobel Prize laureate Malala, Game of Thrones actor Kit Harington, football superstar David Beckham, and music icons Lady Gaga and BTS. Speaking of BTS, the global superstars will grace the June cover of Rolling Stone. It's another one for their books, as the first all-Asian group to appear in the magazine. Inside, BTS' first official interview on their second all-English single Butter, as well as an in-depth feature on how they became the biggest band in the world. Nick Garcia, We Are One News.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 1 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.